Welcome, people of Earth. We are here once again on the Key Memory Chronicles. And this is a super awesome episode because we got my guy, Matty-O, the king of promotions, the king of shows, and the king of good ideas. So welcome to the show, Matt.
Man, thank you for that introduction, my man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I appreciate y'all having me pull up.
Yeah, I was excited because I made a list of like the first people I wanted to do this with, and I was like, Matt's on there. Like it wasn't even like really a thought. It was like instantly I just write it down. Cause we already done some dope stuff. We're gonna get into it.
Yeah.
Hell and I was like, I gotta add this to it.
Absolutely.
So, how you been today? What's your day been like?
I've been great. Just busy, running around, dealing with this Atlanta traffic. You know how it is, and like I always say, man, just staying busy and out the way. So, putting a couple things together, for a couple artists that I manage, and getting integrated, working with Wicked Money family now. So,
hey, congratulations!
Thank you. A lot of dope stuff on the horizon, man.
Hey, we gonna talk all about it, man. I was sitting here telling people, I was like, yo, I want this show to be, because I'm still new to this, you know what I'm saying? But I want this show to be about, people, not necessarily what you do, but where you come from, your journey, like your story. Like I believe everybody's story is awesome. You know what I'm saying? We all come from different worlds and whatnot. And I feel like a lot of shows out here don't really focus on that, because people like to think that that's boring compared to like talking about the glitz and glamour.
Yeah.
But I think even the little details is like, I think that's important. I don't think it's boring.
I agree with you. I feel the same way.
Let's go to the past, the early life, man.
Gotcha.
Like your journey, your story is interesting, but I want to know where it began.
Man, it all began in South Florida, Sarasota, Florida, to be exact, man. That's where I was born and raised, and came up, born in 91, 90s baby.
Hey.
And I went, I never knew my pops. I was raised by my mom, so, I have a lot of love and respect for all single moms, especially mine. And, man, at an early age, sort of rough upbringing in a lot of ways, and that's really why I gravitated towards hip hop so heavily. You know what I mean? Because I didn't really have a father figure, and that ended up being a lot of times, music is where I learned a lot of life lessons from, at least as a young man. So like I think I first like rap song I heard was actually Country Grammar by Nelly.
Wow.
And yeah, it was like 99 or like 2000, like 8, 9 years old. And I mean, that was pretty much all she wrote. And so I went to a gifted school, like a private gifted school called Pineview. And, I was like the poor kid in class, you know what I mean? So I always kind of felt a little outcasted myself. And, I think that also is why I gravitated so much to the culture of hip-hop beyond just the music, because once I got pulled in by hearing something different, like my mom raised me on great music, like Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Sade, but like hip-hop was kind of unique to me, you know what I mean? At least that's how I felt. And of course also like Eminem was coming up. So being a white boy, like Eminem's rapping about
it was y'all time.
A lot of like the stuff that I was literally growing up with, like having a single mom, all that kind of stuff, like, and that really, like, I would say pulled me in to dig deeper. And then I discovered like Tupac and like the depth of lyricism and emotion that artists like him brought, and it was on from there, bro. Like my family's from New York, my family's from Long Island. So I would go up to New York, spend a couple weeks or a month of the summer up in New York, and I go out to the city, and I have a little CD player, Walkman, whatever. Put my headphones in. I'd be on the subway, and I'd be listening to like Illmatic by Nas, and you know what I mean. And so I'm on the subway listening to that record, and it all just was apparent to me at a young age that this is what I wanted to do, that I wanted to pursue a career in hip-hop. Now, like, I'm sure we'll get into it, but, life plays out certain ways where that was delayed, but I'm here now. So that was really my come-up, man. And, I graduated high school, And I knew kind of off the bat that, you know, college, I partied, right? Like I was a partier in high school. Like, I mean, anyone will tell you. So, you know, like we used to go like hop fences behind bars, you know, steal like an empty keg shell, go get the homie with the fake ID, fill it up, find a house or like a lot, and, you know, drop a kegger, everybody pull up, you know, and party. And I knew that going to college was going to be more of that. And I just wanted to do something different, you know what I mean? And I kind of wanted to kind of prove some things to myself as a young man. So, you know, I decided to join the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And went in like right after high school. Was in the Marine Corps for 4 years. Did a tour in Afghanistan in 2011, and got out and moved to Orlando, and got into some things there that weren't really too productive. You know, got in, you know, some trouble and things like that. And also I was with a young woman, and, you know, we ended up you know, having my daughter. You know, so my daughter was born, and we stayed together. We moved to Jacksonville to kind of get out of that situation in Orlando, and I went right into like the workforce. So you know, the kid on the way and everything, I've just felt that pressure, and it was a big deal for me because I'd never had known my dad, so it was really important for me to kind of, you know, take that seriously. So like I felt the magnitude of that. So you know, did the 9-to-5 thing. I worked in IT.
You were still a fan of music through this whole.
Music's what got me through all of that. You know what I mean? Like, especially, you know, in the Marine Corps, like a lot of my experiences aren't the same as a lot of other people's, both good and bad. But you know, especially like, I mean, really through the whole process, whether, you know, Afghanistan or not, 100% music's what always kept me going through all of it. Even feeling out of place, man. I was listening to, it's like 2011. You know, like I was listening to like the hot shit, right? Like, so like I was of course listening to like Cole had just came out, like Drake, of course, like Wayne, all the bigger names. But I've always been an underground head. I've always been a boom bap fan. Like like I was saying, I was kind of raised off of like Nas, Pac, like Wu-Tang when I discovered them as a kid. That was like a whole thing. So
what was the feling you had listening to that? Because you said you was on the trains and stuff, like. And you was in Florida, like.
I think like I went to Target with my mom, and I would always go through the CD section and just kind of look, and like I didn't know what the hell, you know, most of these artists were. I was like 10 years old, 9, but the album covers would always kind of like reach out to me. But I remember, man, like the thing that really put me on to like most artists was actually this might have been like the first CD I bought with my own money. It was like the Source Awards, like 1999, something like that. I can't remember the year. Like just CD. So it was like all, I guess, like Source Awards, like compilation. Yeah, like it was just all the Source Award winners. And I bought that CD, and because it had M and Dre on it, it had like Forgot About Dre, right? So like I automatically Eminem, like, all right, Mom, can I get this? Like, you know what I mean? I use my allowance, whatever. And that's when I discovered just like a myriad of different artists from different areas of the country, right? Because I didn't really know like that hip hop it sounded different based on where the artist comes from. You know what I mean? Like it's, you know, Houston hip hop, West Coast hip hop, Southern hip hop, New York hip hop. You know, they all have that different sound. You can usually, if you've been listening to it your whole life, especially, like you can usually tell, you know, the difference, especially I think back then. So like, I just, I remember hearing like Chechezla Ghost, and the shit was just like different, you know, and then Ghostface, like aggressiveness, the slang, and even like, You Got on there, man, like still one of my favorite lines, like Slim Doo-Doo Makers, bro, like when the hell are you gonna hear that, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So like that stood out, and then I gravitated into like Wu-Tang because I've always been a curious mind too, bro. So like I'd always hop on the internet, or like I started watching, you know, like Rap City The Basement on BET, and like 106 in Park, and like just digesting as much hip hop as I could, and that just kind of carried with me still to this day throughout my entire life. So
What is it that hip hop gives you? Like, what does it feel like for you?
Oh man, dude, like,
because it's so. I feel the passion that you're speaking right now.
It's like so many things, but I think like the most important thing for music in general, but like hip hop more than any other, like, I mean, you know, genre of music, like emotional validation, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Because I can relate to a lot of the stuff that I hear, or even the feelings that I feel when I'm listening to a record. Like for me, especially now in music, like it's a lot about vibes, right? Like the energy of the record. So, you know, I would pay attention to the lyrics and like dissect them, and like I would get so interested as a fan of like an artist that I would take the lyrics to kind of learn their story and then like apply it to my own, get some wisdom out of it. But like more than that, man, it was just, you know, there'd be different moments in my life when I was going through something, whether good, bad, sad, happy, whatever. And there with hip hop, I think more than most genres, you know, there was just more avenues to like hone in on those, you know? So I would say like the emotional validation, as much as, man, just kind of like a sense of like individuality and pride, bro. Like, you know what I mean? You know, there's so much great hip hop, and like I think everybody, you know, from whether you're from LA or you have that pride, right? Like you see an artist, you know, doing it big out of like a city that you're from or you're connected to, like you just get a sense of pride, like, hell yeah, bro, you know, like put Atlanta on, you know what I mean? Like, and it's something that's wonderful to see. So you know, a lot of that, and I mean really just strength too. Like it just gave me strength to like persevere through a lot of kind of low times, like once again still to this day. So you know, I just always appreciated hip hop for doing that for me, man. And so, you know, working in it now, you know, that's kind of, I look at it, yeah, I gotta eat, but I do this to give back to it, because I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you if it wasn't for that since day one, really.
Dang, that's powerful, man. I like that, because yeah, hip hop's universal, and it has the power of the universe within it. That's what I like to think.
Hell yeah.
And you said something that about, you know, you was hip to the underground a lot, and you know, you was partying and stuff. Were you going to underground shows and partying at the shows at the time? Like in Florida, was that a thing? Or
man,
the underground scene wasn't as like hype down there?
Really, like, especially being in Sarasota, it's a pretty wealthy like city. So there's not really like a hip hop community at all, to be honest. And so I wouldn't say that, like, especially being like young, like I didn't have money like that, so like I couldn't really, you know, even afford to go to a show. I don't think I went to my first like rap show until I was in my 20s, bro. Like I don't think.
Who was that? Who was the first rap show?
Damn, that's a good ass question. Oh man.
Dang, was they even good? You can't remember?
Shoot, I'm trying first time. It was definitely like in Ybor City.
Where's that?
Ybor City's like right near Tampa, so it's like kind of like 45 minutes south of Tampa. It's like a party town, kind of. It's a pretty dope area. And I want to say it was like, man, to be honest with you, that's gonna get me for a second, because I feel like I'm missing something, but I don't think so. I want to say, bro, like real talk, I think it was like dead ass like Isaiah Rashad.
What?
Yeah, like I'm talking way later in my 20s.
Oh, okay.
Like,
yeah, I'm about to say, wait a minute.
Like I was like, he was just coming up, but I think he had just dropped like Sevilla Demo, and I was really into that project when it came out, and I just like booked made a little trip up there, like 45-minute drive. I must have been like 25.
Wow.
Maybe 26.
Yo, yeah.
So it was like all that time.
That was prime Isaiah too.
Yeah, it was, man. But I'm trying to think, man, because I did live in Jacksonville and in Orlando in between that time. And that's why I'm like over here like, oh shit. But like, I'm not gonna lie to you either, man. I was definitely still partying a lot. So like my memory of those years is hazy as hell. And it might have been something like a pro era show in Orlando. But bro, I couldn't tell you to keep it 100.
So I'll be 100 too. Like outside of like, I don't know. See, I really don't know Florida artists like that. I got family in Florida, but I really didn't know Florida artists like at that time. Like, we know Florida artists now.
Yeah.
But at that time, like you talking, like I don't really know too many Florida artists coming out. Like, was there any Florida based artists that you was listening to coming up?
Hell yeah, man. I mean, that was like the era of like Slip and Slide Records. So like Trick Daddy for sure. Like that was one of my favorite artists. Being out of Florida and like having that Florida pride. But to keep it like 100 as a kid, especially coming from Sarasota, like and with family from New York, I was such a fan of bars and such a fan of boom bap at that time. Like I was more proud of New York shit, right? So I would say like Slip and Slide Records for sure, but like Trick Daddy 100%, like in high school for sure, Rick Ross, like absolutely, like, you know, hustling.
Is Rick Ross actually from Florida?
I mean, he had Port of Miami. He was from Miami. I don't know if he was I don't know if he was born there or anything, but I know he definitely reps like 305, 100%. Yeah. Like, and you know, we definitely appreciate him for that. I don't know if Trina's from Florida, but I know she was with Slip and Slide Records and all that. So that's like a lot of like Florida wise what I was listening to, but a lot of Florida artists like were not on my radar like that. It was definitely more New York and definitely more like I think at that time too, like Atlanta, like Outkast was absolutely like mind blowing to me, and that was once again like around the time that I think Speaker Box Love Below, I think had maybe just came out around that time, but I would definitely say like man, what's the album with Miss Jackson and everything, because that was like definitely, was it Speaker Box Love Below? No, Stankonia.
Stankonia.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Stankonia was like one of the first CDs I bought, so I was just real tapped into that kind of shit. So I got most of my music from, like I said, like the media outlets. So if it wasn't really on those media outlets or like something significant from the 90s at that time, because I was just ingesting like as much hip-hop music as I possibly could, and I had to have an emotional connection to it. So if it wasn't really being pushed on those outlets, like I probably wasn't that tapped in, because like I said, Sarasota is like definitely excluded from the hip-hop landscape of Florida, you know. So
what do you think? What part of your personality do you think hip hop shaped the most?
Damn. In a lot of ways, my sense of humor, I think. That's a good question, bro. I think it gave me a lot of like at least foundational core values of like, you know, things that I try to still display and take with me to this day, like, you know, like loyalty, integrity, things like that. And I think that it definitely helped me kind of stand on my own too, like stand up for myself in situations. So I would say like personality and my own kind of like a lot of ways like my own kind of personal pride, man, like, you know, like I said before. So but definitely like those core values like that I still carry with me to this day, that, you know, things like the Marine Corps like definitely instilled in me, but you know, I at least had those going in. Like those are the things that helped me to make that decision of like joining the military, or a lot of other decisions maybe that, you know, life choices that I've made. Hip-hop gave me the confidence to do that and pursue it, rather than just going with like the flow of like, okay, everybody's going to college, like I love partying, I love getting fucked up, like let me go to college and party and get fucked up, you know. So I think that definitely probably is the biggest thing.
Down like that. I knew you was a hip hop fan for real, but yeah, this a lot. It's deep. It's like, as I say, it's deeper than rap.
Yeah, absolutely is.
Now I want to get into the transition. Like, when did you transition from being a fan to actually working in music? Even if this isn't like the
it's a bit of a process on that.
Yeah, like what did you do first before the A&R? Like what was you doing where you was like, okay, I love music, I want to work in it. How did you start working in music?
So I say I got started actually working in it probably the end of 2018, and pretty much like I had been such a hardcore fan. I guess I'll kind of rewind. I'll just kind of tell you the process of it, right? So I had some friends. We used to go out to Vegas and party and all that shit, and I saw that oh damn, it's Ice-T's tour he was doing, right? Like, so I think it's the Art of Rap tour, something like that, along those lines. That's the name of it. And so, you know, I was like, damn, they're gonna be there, like right when we're in Vegas, and it's like right around Tupac's birthday, so it was like a big deal for me to go out and like, you know, go on the intersection of Flamingo and Koval and like pay my respects there. And so it was like a whole hip hop weekend, really, for me, more so than like a party weekend with my friends. And so I got tickets to that festival, and I went with one of my closest friends ever, one of my loved ones, Alex, and you know, she has like an incredible way of just talking to people and like networking herself. So we ended up like going super early, and we ended up talking to like some homie out. He was like kind of outside like the ticket booth, and we were just talking to him. He fucked with us, so he kind of was like, hey, y'all just come in with me. He was friends with like Raekwon and them, right?
Oh wow.
So I'm over here like, holy shit. So I'm like in this venue, and I'm seeing like Raekwon go up and do sound check and just spit bars, and you know, it was surreal for me, right? And we ended up like, I can't even remember, to be honest, but like one way or another, we ended up backstage at that show, and I'm like chilling in the green room, and it's like fucking Prodigy and Havoc and like Ghostface. You know, I met Ghostface. That's like one of maybe my all-time favorite rapper. You know, like him and Tupac probably. So that was crazy, right? And like Big Daddy Kane, I'm at Ice-T, so I'm meeting all these legends, and I'm just kind of like comfortable moving backstage, right? Like definitely still like freaking out a little bit as a fan, definitely still taking it in, like it was surreal, but that shit was wild. And like I got to like walk with Raekwon like up, like he was coming out to go up on stage. I got to like kind of walk with him up to the stage.
That's hard. And
that shit was wild for me, right? And so all that happened, and I came back home, and I was just like, damn, like, okay, you know. And at this time, like, I'm probably like, that was like 2017. I think that was like Prodigy's last performance, like rest in peace. Like, yeah. So I was like in my later 20s and mid to late 20s, and you know, I thought that like that kind of shit passed me by, right? Like I have a kid, I'm paying child support, like da 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 da. You know, I'm back living in Florida, so I was more kind of like, this dream of hip hop has kind of like passed me by, right? Like it's time to just like man up, like do what I got to do, work this 9 to 5 I hate, and you know, figure it out. And it wasn't really until I came on to, I used to chill with a friend. He's like my little brother. He's actually my assistant now. You know, my brother Dakota, and he had like a little mini studio. He's much younger than me, so he was like maybe 21. You know, I met him through my little cousin, and big hip hop head. That's how we hit it off, right? So I used to go over there and like chill, and we get drunk, like spit freestyles, like smoke blunts, whatever. And he was like, man, you hear this new shit that's coming out, bro? He played me. He's like, man, this guy like West Side Guns. And I'm like, okay. And like I hear it, and I didn't know it was new. Like it didn't sound new. You know what I mean? Like, but it was. So I thought Gun, because his voice, like, I thought he was young, you know what I'm saying? Like a kid. And I'm like, damn, these young kids are like bringing the Wu-Tang energy back. Like, I fuck with this, you know? And at that time, I was like one of those hip-hop purists, so I wasn't really feeling like a lot of stuff on the radio. Like, all the people I was listening to that I'd named before, like, I was kind of like pushing back on, right? And I just did my typical digging. Once I like really lock in and become a fan of an artist, like I dig, bro, and I gotta learn. And I just realized like these guys are like older, and they're just now starting to pop. And like I don't think I've ever been a bigger fan of like any movement ever than like the Griselda movement, right?
When you go down the Griselda rabbit hole, you don't get out.
Yeah, no, that's a fact, bro. Especially in that time, it was like 2016, right? So like 2016, 2017. I think it was before actually that Art of Rap Fest. Like it was, because it was like right around like when Fly God came out and shit. And so fast forwarding back, I came back from that festival. We were hanging out. I started seeing that they were doing some shows here and there, and I just started, I don't know, man, I just started going to these Griselda shows, right? And the thing that was really unique about them was that I think actually the first Griselda show I went to was out here at A3C. I think that was actually the first time I saw them like no shit live.
Dang.
I went to the Benny show. I met Gun there, just like dapped him up, you know, did whatever fan shit I did. And then they performed at A3C, and like Shout out to my guy Deontay Hitchcock, by the way, because I remember I was blown away by his set. And then he performed like right before then. They came out, killed it, and that was amazing for me. And then Wu-Tang Clan, Wu-Tang came out and performed, like all 9 of them, with the Young Dirty Bastard came out. Like,
dang, I think that's A3C, right? I remember that. It was the
like
headline. Yeah, I remember that show.
You know what I mean? So yeah, bro, that was like one of the dopest music experiences I've ever had, right? So I think it was after they went up, though, I had been like buying all this fucking underground merch and CDs and like anything that like Conway or Benny or Gunn was on, bro. Like I was Googling, I was searching iTunes, like I was scavenging. I made an Instagram because of that shit, bro. Like,
wow.
Because I hate social media, so I didn't have any of that, and I just made it because it was something like my friend, the same one that played him for me, was like, yo, man, like Westside Gunn's dropping t-shirts, bro. And like, I was like, how do I get them? And he's like, on Instagram. And I'm like, fuck, all right, I'm going to make an Instagram. Like, here we go. So, and it was just cool, bro, because it's like, you're DMing them, like they're sending the PayPal, and it was like interacting with these artists that, really just kind of was different, right? Like you don't expect to be able to interact with like a Nas or any of these legendary major artists, but with them on the come up, like they already had that aura of like legendary, that aura of like being a legendary artist, right? So it was just kind of different, bro. And I started forming these little relationships with these like key underground rappers, right? And so one of those was Flea Lord, who had been close friends with Prodigy, and through Prodigy had gotten connected to Griselda, and he started collaborating with them. And so he was at that A3C. So I bought like the whole VIP package and everything, right? So like I went over to the VIP area and shit, and I remember I walked over there because I was trying to get a good spot to watch Wu, and I saw Flea, and like Gunn was having everybody come out like matching hoodies at that time and everything, right? Like they had like the white Blind Tell hoodies on, so it was like fucking easy to spot them. So I just see like a white Blind Tell hoodie, and it's Flea, right? And like I dapped him up. He we had already been connected because I've been buying his CDs and shit, and so he recognized me, he knew who I was, we took a picture, we talked, and then all of a sudden he was like, yo man, come watch the show with us. I'm like, what? Bro, I mean, it was just all of them. It was Benny, Gunn, like my guy Malek, like man, like all the Griselda clique was just in that VIP section. Dang. Watching Wu-Tang perform, right? Dang. So I'm like standing next to Gunn, and I think Conway was like behind me at one point, like he was pretty hammered. He was going back and forth to the bar, I remember that. And like the shit was crazy because these were my favorite rappers in the world at that moment, right? So I'm like with my favorite rappers in the world, watching my favorite rappers in the world since a kid perform, and they end up like going backstage and shit, and like that's all good. And I stayed and watched Wu-Tang perform, but it was like that moment that on the drive back, I was telling my little homie that came out with me, like, bro, like, I think I can work in this shit, bro. Like, I was like, this just, nah, it just felt really, really right, and it felt like, you know what I mean? Like, just that moment itself, bro, like, fueled some fire in me where I was like, nah, man, like, I think I can do this shit, like, fuck it. And
that's a fan's dream come true. Like,
yeah, like still to this day, that's like one of my favorite hip hop memories.
That's a movie scene.
I got a lot of really awesome like full circle like hip hop memories at this point, and I'm sure I'll have a lot more, but like that's still gonna be like a standout, like that and that like Vegas festival. And that's one of the ways I connected with Flea, because I had met Prodigy and everything, like his last performance, I had footage of it, all this shit. So like I'm like talking to him about it, and he was going through his grieving process of that unfortunate loss, and like we had kind of started like a friendship, right? So I just kept being a fan, and just showing up as a fan. I went to like Buffalo and did the I remember like Machine Gun Black Friday, and I had gotten to know these other like hardcore. It was like a cult, bro. Like it was really dope. Yeah. That whole experience was super fire because like we were all these hardcore Griselda fans, and there's people from like all different backgrounds, and so like the thing with them was they were kind of accessible. Like they fucked with a lot of their fans as people, so you know they would have them around. And so like I went to like the Benny's like Tanya Talk 3 release party, right? And just as a fan, I'm like drunk as hell, like woo, you know. And so that was dope. And it wasn't really till Art Basel, because I have friends in Miami through other ventures that I met them. And so I was like, I would go to Art Basel, right, and go down to Miami and like hang out with them and shit. And like I had this homie that was also a hardcore Griselda fan, and he was out there. And I guess like, you know, Gunna reached out and was like, hey, I'm gonna be out here, like y'all from here, like show me love, come link up and like show me around Wynwood and shit. So like that's what we did, bro. I drove down there, met up with my friend, and we ended up like linking with Gun and just like walking around, like, you know, just kind of, that was kind of it, right? And that was really the moment where I was like, holy shit. And that's like I first started like connecting with people like outside of being like a fan at a show, right? Like, you know, I met like my guy B. Burton, who was working for him at the time, and you know, a couple of the other homies on the team, like my guy 40. So having Instagram and everything, once again, like, you know, locked in with them. And so that was like really the start. I would say like the first time that I did any actual like work was my same friends that were down there. They started a promotion company, and that was called Susano Promotions. And they reached out to me and were like, bro, like you were just down here with Westside Gun. That's wild. Like you clearly got something going on. Like you're tapped in. So we're doing these shows, like just, you know, come down and like help us run them. Dang. So that's when I started learning how to like run shows and work shows, right? And I think like the first show that I really worked, like, you know, like managed whatever, was like Valet. So, you know, that was probably like early 2019, maybe some shit like that. And worked that show, and you know, like I connected with a couple people through that, and then COVID hit. So COVID hits, and at this time now I just started managing my first client, a producer named Sushi Punk out of South Florida, well, Miami, Pembroke Pines. And that was through my guy Carlos, one of my best friends to this day. He had been the one that really started the promotion company, right? And he was just like, bro, you know, all these underground artists, Sushi makes this underground shit. He's like, you know, put it together. So like, I think that was the first A&R move I made, was I hit Flea Lord up, and I was like, bro, I got this like dope producer. He's like unknown. Can I send you a beat pack? And sent a beat pack. He picked one. He put it on a project. And I remember also I got to shout out my guy Ito and my guy Jay in Orlando. I went up for like Jay's birthday party. I didn't know him at the time, but I knew Ito was going to be there. So like I pulled up, and he welcomed me in, and I partied with them. And I know Ito was blown away that I like knew all the words to his shit, because, you know, that cat's from Rochester, right? So like being in like fucking Orlando, and some like white dude in the crowd like knows all the words and shit. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was different. So I was like sending beat packs to them, and, you know, just like talking to Jay, like, bro, like, you know, like how do I do da like I want, you know, I've always been like really upfront about like even to this day, right? Like I want to learn. There's so much more to learn, and every time like I quote unquote level up, like it's like a whole new level of learning, right? Like I don't think I'm an expert or know everything about anything in this industry at all, right? So that's just kind of how I went about shit. And so like through doing that, COVID hits. So now all of a sudden like shows are dead. And that's where like my very good brother and fellow like veteran, my guy Victor, and he's with Underground Hip Hop Blog, he just like DM'd me. And at first I kind of blew it off. He was like, hey man, you know, I want you to like, you know, write for our blog. We got like a real big blog out here on the West Coast, and like I just see that you're really tapped in, and, you know, like I'd love for you to just become a publisher. And like I always make it real clear, like I hate publishing, I hate writing, I hate sitting still. I like moving around, and you know, I can't be at a desk. It's just it's tough for me. It's probably the ADHD, but you know what I mean? Yeah, bro. Like it's I gotta move, bro. I gotta move. But I did it, right? And the way I looked at it was, A, like it gives me a chance to like showcase all these artists that I believe in and that I fuck with, right? And I'm a fan of. And B, like gives me like now I have value. right? So now I have something to offer, which is a publication. So what I kind of did was, whether I already was knowing them or, whatever, like following them, whatever, on Instagram, I started looking for people that were doing behind the scenes shit and seeking them out. And it turns out like a lot of people that are behind the scenes want to be seen, or at least want to have like a Q&A interview. They want to tell their story, right?
Yeah.
And so I started interviewing people like that, right? And one of the people I interviewed that like stood out, we're on the phone for like 2 hours, you know what I'm saying? So it's a good chance for me to be like not only getting to know them, but sharing a little bit about myself. And then I'd always throw in there like, bro, I do shows. Like this COVID shit's gonna end, and so like I can get some shows popping. And Underground Hip Hop Blog, they promote out west as well, so they had some venue access and shit. So I just throw that out there like, yo, man, like, not only do I want to learn and do what you're doing, but, like, I do have something that I can do, like, already that I know I can do, right? And, like, the main person that I think, like, of everybody I interviewed, which is, like, a good amount of, like, really awesome people, is my guy, and still a good friend and brother to this day, like, Doe Networks, who's an amazing A&R and figure in this thing, and, he's killing it. In my eyes, he's already a legend, but if he's not already, he's going to be. He's a legendary person. And, we bonded a lot over, like, my military experience and, like, his experiences in his life, like, growing up in L.A. and, like, doing a bid and stuff like that. And that was probably, like, a 3-hour phone call off rip, you know what I mean? And I would say, shit, we talk at least once a week still to this day, right? We work together closely a lot of times. And that ended up being probably the most beneficial connection of my career, right? Because through that, even though I had already had a friendship with Flea Lord and some of these other artists maybe at least knew me and, liked me enough to have me be around.
Yeah.
Like, those the one that kind of pressed for me getting in with Lord Mob. And I think that was in, like, early 2021 because I had been setting up some interviews with the blog and things. And we got, my guy TF on the platform for an interview. And I was watching it. And it was live. So I'm watching it. And he's just like, yeah, man, Lord Mob tour coming. So I automatically hit Doe. And I'm like, bro, y'all doing a tour? And he was like, man, like, we trying to. Like, man, TF just hyping it up. And I'm like, bro, like, why don't we just do a show in L.A., right? And ended up getting that booked. And Flea ended up bringing me on the team. And that is kind of the beginning of everything for me, because then I was able to do everything that I wanted to do. I love managing. I love being an A&R. I love helping artists, and also like being in a position where I can share my industry knowledge base and help them in a way that's actually going to put money in their pockets and like be effective in their careers, right? And that was the beginning of all of it. So I'd say, like, man, like I said, it's a process, a lot of like different things, but that's my little origin story right there, really. Wow. And the rest, I guess, is history, man.
Dang, that's an epic origin story.
Thank you, bro.
Shoot, I'm just picturing, like, I'm visualizing everything you saying while you saying this, and the one image that keeps sticking in my mind is being around the whole Griselda camp watching Wu-Tang. That's a really surreal moment.
That was still this day surreal, bro.
And so everything I'm hearing, it just sounds like one, you really care, you're really passionate, and you got a networking skill. Like you said, like, your network has turned into your net worth, literally.
Yeah,
like,
amen.
Everything I'm hearing is like, well, I talked to this person, connected to this, or I had this person. It's like, I think a lot of people don't appreciate, like, we always toss around like you should network, but I think you really are a testament to networking across, like trying not to network up. Like, you was really networking across with just people all in the same boat. Mm-hmm. And hey, that's hard.
I appreciate
that's
that,
really
man.
Dope,
Thank
man.
you, bro.
Like,
thank you.
Now I want to know too, like, because we in the music industry, entertainment business. A lot of these titles are kind of interchangeable, like from manager, A&R, project. Like, what exactly is an A&R, and what do they do? So, like, an A&R now is more of, to be honest with you, it's more of a development role. So, like, for labels, I would say it's more looked at as like product development than like actual like artist development. But an A&R also, in a way more watered down way, is just simply like
putting together a situation with like connecting artists, you know, getting them to work together. But I look at A&Ring, especially like what I do now, as more of a artist development role, right? It's more my job to ensure that the artist is not only getting the exposure they need, but that they're on point, right? So I have to ensure that their movements are all going towards the vision, whatever that vision for them is, or for the label, whoever is, you know, putting me in that position, right? So that's what I look at as A&Ring. It's not management, because, you know, I A&R artists that have a manager, so I have a relationship with them and their manager, and I try to, of course, give the manager that respect of communicating through the manager until I'm actually sitting down with the artist, right? Management is definitely my favorite thing I do, but it's also hands down the most strenuous and time-consuming, and honestly, like, costly too. Because, like, everything, if you're, in my opinion, if you're a good manager, then it's, like, all about sacrifice, right? Like, I have to be willing to sacrifice my name, my brand, what I have going on to give the artist that I manage an opportunity. And I have to also, like, fully believe in that artist, their capabilities, their talent, because I have to sell. It's a sales position, too.
But that sounds more like a label than a manager.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying. It's all.
I mean, a manager, yeah, the manager's like, you know, we facilitate and we build like a structured environment around the brand entity that is like the artist. But to me, it's way more personal as a manager, because I'm spending so much time with these artists, right? Like the artists that I manage are probably, I mean, there's other artists out there that I definitely consider like, you know, like family or like a personal friend, but like to me, like they're really family, you know? And so it's everything that would come with like someone that you actually love and appreciate as a family member that you would do for them is how I feel about the artists that I do manage. At least, you know, I try my best to do that, right?
So can you be
and that's
manager?
Why it's, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No,
that's why it's so selective for me, because
okay.
it's really hard for me to do that with too many artists, or, you know what I mean? If I don't feel 100%, like I don't trust the situation, or I don't feel comfortable, like I'll that's when I'll pivot and go A&R.
So
if that makes sense.
Do you A&R and manage at the same time for artists, or is it
absolutely.
more of a...
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm still on the come up, man, so I'm doing everything I can at all times, bro. You know,
okay.
Whatever it's got to get done, whether it's going to help me or get me into a situation where I can help the artists that I manage or help the label or entity that I'm working for, I'm going to do it.
So can you tell me or share with us a key memory or a memorable project, artist that you, I guess, A&R'd or managed, like just a project, anything that you feel like, okay, this was a dope example of me A&R'ing a situation.
You were there, bro. You were there, man. When I first moved up here, you know, I would say that was like another full circle moment for me, but it was definitely like getting, you know, it was a little bit of a process for sure, but it was getting Benny and ATL Jacob in the studio, bro.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Like that was, and I gotta throw out Pyrex Whippa too, because Pyrex is such an amazing, he's such an incredibly gifted producer, bro, and he's so such underrated. A music head. I think he's so underrated, and he's one of my favorite artists that I've ever like worked with in the studio, bro. Like whether it's just me and him smoking joints and bullshitting, or it's me watching him, he's on time, set up, and his beats are crazy. And Butch like was in the, we were there, so Butch was in there. He locked right in. Mm-hmm. And so Jacob's just really more so chilling. I think Jacob was more happy with the fact he could chill and go get his duck comfy and like fucking, you know, hang out and shit. And but that was like definitely my, to this day, probably quote unquote biggest A&R whatever I did. Like that was dope for me, man, because I was such a diehard Benny fan, and like I was paying for meet and greets to go get a picture with that guy like 2 years before that.
Wow.
And then I'm in the studio with him. I remember he was like, man, Matt, what the fuck have you been doing since you moved to Atlanta, bro? You know, and I was like, just out here grinding, bro. And that was just really dope for me, man. Like to do something that like could help his career at that level. Like he's a star, bro. So at that level, and then also, you know, getting introduced to, you know, Jacob and Pyrex, who, Jacob being a Florida boy, you got a #1 record with Yak, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's to me, like, Yak's the biggest thing ever out of Florida. So that was just super dope, just to be able to combine those different sounds. And like then Butch goes in and records over a Pyrex with a beat and bodies it
instantly.
Shit was hard, bro. Like, that was fire. So it was just really dope for me, man. And I just love those situations so much, bro, because like that's what I'm in this shit for, is not only, giving back to artists that I look up to and appreciate, but like being able to hopefully help them push and level up themselves. Like, that's what we're here for, right? So
yeah,
I'll say that's my favorite A&R thing I've ever done, bro. Hands down.
Hard. And what brought you to Atlanta? Because you specifically say like that was when you first came to Atlanta. So what brought you to the A?
So what brought me up here was, at this time, let me think, man. It's like the end of like 2021, I want to say. Sometimes I get my memory's terrible, bro. Like, sometimes I get my years mixed up and shit. I want to say it was like the end of 2021, early 2022. I'll just be real. I was on probation at the time in Florida for like a good minute, and so I couldn't really move out of the state. There was a lot of things I could still travel. Like, I was still going to New York and going to all these shows or working a show here and there out of state. But like, I did a show out here. I worked with Jay Worthy, so I did Jay Worthy's first tour and went on the road.
First tour?
Yeah, I did. I put it together with Doe, and Doe's, once again, responsible for that connection. But yeah, I booked him in LA, San Francisco, Chicago, Ohio, and here in Atlanta. I put up my own money, everything, for this show at Aisle 5.
Wow.
And I booked Sky Zoo to open up before him, just as a little ticket insurance, because I know Atlanta's tough if you're not from here. So, I wanted to make sure that was all right. And I put all my homies on at the time, man. Like Primo Jab, it's a good personal friend. My guy Mondo Slade, I had my good friend Lukey Cage host it. I had some of the Lord Mob guys came out, like Funk P and Tiana Denise. And then I had this one artist that I found online randomly and was blown away by. Still to this day, I think he's the illest rapper I've ever heard, or at least found on my own. Name? Tate 228, man, my dog, bro. I was in a situation with another artist that was going to open that I wasn't fully, like, my gut wasn't really all in it with that. And so I'm not going to hold you, man. I got him off the show and put Tate's ass on there. And Tate and my guy Fred, man, Fleetwood Fred. Those are two of the most, like, amazing artists I've ever heard, bro.
What is that like, putting together a tour? That's
a lot of emails. Yeah, it's a lot of emails and logistics, and then you got like Worthy and all the homies like moving around. So if I wasn't moving with them, I'm coordinating their movements, right? So like tour management, for me at least, my experience with it was a lot of that. Like Wally the Sensei, like missing a flight because he quote unquote bracked a bitch in the airport. That was one of the greatest texts I've ever gotten in my life. I wasn't even mad. But, having to, like, re-coordinate his flight, make sure he can show up. Or, like, okay, you got to skip this show because we got a show in 2 days in this other city. So now you just might as well just fly there. But it was also, like, a lot of the most fun I had, doing that shit. And at the same time, too, like, we did, a show with Lord Mob in L.A. And I think that was, like, my real first taste of, like, moving with, like, a group of, like, rappers especially. But, like, artists in general. And, like, being responsible for coordinating a lot of things, like whether it's like an interview or this or that. Like, that was my first taste of that, and that's what I do, I would say now, like, better than anything, is coordinating and helping that kind of stuff come together. So but I know I went back a little bit on that with the Worthy shit. So getting here, I did that show, got locked in with my guy Tate, got a relationship with my guy Brandon of Speakeasy Promotions out here, and got that relationship with the venue. And at the time, I was also like just starting to get introduced to my big bro IG, who he was working with Pyrex and Jacob. And so I'm having all these connections. I get off probation, I quit my job, and I moved up here. And at the time, I was there's a couple business things that were discussed that gave me the idea that I'd be up here kind of taken care of on the music side, but they didn't work out, and it's all good. And so I really viewed Atlanta as a stepping stone at first for LA. Like, I wanted to go to LA, and I wanted to maybe stay up here for like a year and then move out to LA. And I ain't gonna hold you, man. Like, I love Atlanta so much. Like, I don't really see myself moving. I'll go visit LA. I'm out there all the time now, but
so everybody's coming to Atlanta.
Yeah, man, I love it out here, bro. I love living here. I love the scene out here. I love everything going on culturally out here, especially in hip hop. People like you know, Patchworks, and talk about another full circle moment, bro. This is the first studio I ever toured, bro. I came up here.
Really?
My assistant, like I said, my little homie, he moved up here, just because his family moved up here, right? He was still like in high school or he just graduated, so I came up to visit him, and I was just like, fuck, dude, like, I'm in Atlanta for the first time. Like, I want to just, like, see what, like, a big studio is. So I Googled, like, major studios in Atlanta or something. I saw Patchworks, did my little research, learn the history. And I booked, like, a studio. That was, like, 2017, bro.
Wow.
And I've been in this room. And so all these studios that I'm, like, the sessions I'm doing and this interview right here, even when we're just meeting, you know what I mean? And talking some business or just shooting the shit, like, that was all stuff that, like, I had, I guess, manifested through just that tour, bro.
Wow. And
now it's like I'm the one chilling up there in the lobby smoking, you know what I mean? Instead of hearing about how Gucci did it and Jeezy was, so I always had that connection to Atlanta, bro. And so, like, moving here and being, like, kind of welcomed and feeling accepted and, like, a part of things, it's just awesome, bro. And I never want to leave here, bro.
You know what I love about your story, Matt? Like, all these just the key memories that you're talking about through your journey. It's a lot of manifestation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
I'm a big believer in that shit.
Yeah, like, you really manifested your career up. Like, because I notice I hear a lot of times where people be like, you put your passion into things and, like, you really love it. You get around it. And I'm just thinking of the people, the moments, like, these people ain't just going to let anybody around them. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that you are around them and, like, awesome, like, we just meet them for the first time, come roll with me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I'm grateful for it, bro.
You got good aura, good, like, you really manifesting it.
Man, thank you, man. That's why, like, I don't know if I've ever told them in person yet, but, like, that's why, like, it really starts with, ironically, like, I think yesterday was, like, the 5-year anniversary of Supreme Clientele, by Gun. Bro, if it wasn't for that man doing the Griselda shit and what he just everything he does and everything he is, image-wise, whatever, as a figure in this shit, bro, I would never had the balls to just say fuck it and do it, and I would never have had a Doe Networks to help me connect with this guy and open a door up, and you know what I mean? So I'm just super grateful for it all, bro. And, like, my thing with manifestation is, like, if your heart's not in it and you don't put the work in, manifestation is just a word.
Yeah.
But if your heart's in it and you're working towards it, like, it's been crazy for me to think back just in this conversation with you on exactly what you just said, which is like, holy shit, bro. Like, I actually kind of did manifest a lot of this shit. So I'm just real grateful, bro. And I'm just happy to be here, man. And I'm ready to just dominate now,
Thanks, yeah.
I'm hungry still,
How'd you link up with Denzel Curry?
Oh man, like
that really happened, right?
Yeah, but I don't want to like say like we're working or anything like that. But, like, I was around Miami. I was going down to Miami all the time, so I had been in the same room with him for a minute. But the way that I, like, actually linked up with him, or, like, at least got to dap him up and chop it with him for a second or two, was at West Side Guns. But once again, Gun, bro. That West Side Guns pop up at the last Art Basel. I want to say it was the last one. At this point, I've been seasoned, and I just, bro, like, I love this shit. So a lot of times I just fall into a role, and I just kind of go naturally into, like, working. And so, like, we pulled up to the pop-up and, dapped everybody up, whatever. And I just kind of noticed, like, he needed a little more help. So I just started working the pop-up with him, and that turned out to be a super dope thing for me to do, bro, because I ended up taking CeeLo around with his family and, like, in the back, like, showing them, like, the different merch, going over sizes, and then all of a sudden Denzel Curry pulls up with my guy 12lin, who's a fire R&B artist out of Miami, who I've known for some time at this point. We talked about doing a couple shows and things, like, that's still gotta happen. But Yeah, he pulled up with Denzel, and really, man, it wasn't much more than like just chopping it up and shit. But now it's at a point, you know, where like, yeah, man, like if I'm down in South Florida and I see Denzel out there, like I'm gonna holler at him, and you know, maybe we'll get in the studio and do some dope shit. I would love to do that.
Okay. What? Well, we still in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
What? Because you brought up Kodak. Y'all down there calling Yak.
Yeah.
What do you think about the rise of just Florida as a state with more artists since like Kodak and Denzel came out? I've been seeing a lot more Florida based artists come out. What do you think about the rise of Florida?
So at least from like my experience, there was, and this is not just like on the like actual artist side, but on the industry side and the business side. Before COVID, there was like a lot of kind of gatekeeping, right? Example, like it was really hard for us, Susano, to get venues and shit, you know? It just was always kind of like, it was an uphill battle. And so I think when COVID hit, there was a lot of people either pivoting to other business avenues to generate money, or people taking a lot of L's financially. And so like a lot of the people up top kind of either left or fell off or whatever. And so then like my generation, we were like, you know, getting in our early 30s, late 20s. And it was a lot of that, right? Where like the younger generation could finally come out and, you know, start, you know, we were in positions where maybe we were managing a property in Wynwood, and now it's like, okay, like now we can do like this dope event for Art Basel here, and then, you know, artists will pull up. And I'm not saying that's why there's more Florida artists maybe, quote unquote, like, you know, breaking out, but I think that definitely has something to do with it.
Yeah.
And then of course it's guys like, you know, like, yeah, I mean, Yak's always been major for as long as I can remember, really. I mean, since he was like 16, he's been, at least in Florida, like he's been popping. So, and Denzel Curry too, I think he's been hot for years now, right? So, I think it's just like the whole transition too, though, into like what's hot in hip hop today. I think it makes more sense for Florida in a lot of ways. Like a lot of Tyler's going on a crazy run. Trapland Pat, like all these dope Florida artists, and they're not all like South Florida. Like that's like Tallahassee and shit too. Like. So I just think it's like a good time in the game for Florida artists to shine and be themselves and like be accepted outside of Florida and celebrated. Tyler like just sold out LA.
Oh wow.
I know like Desto Dub had him at like I think the Hellstar Warehouse, whatever. You know, everything. So like it's great to see Florida artists, especially young cats like that, like getting that kind of reception and welcoming, like in those major markets that have such like a deep history in like hip hop, right? So you know, I can't say everything's due to COVID, but I definitely think post-COVID, like this era post-COVID has been the best, in my opinion, for up-and-coming Florida talent. I mean, we always had 2 Live Crew. They were super significant. I mean, Parental Advisory, you know what I mean? Like, that's them, bro. Like, they won that case, right? So that is super important for hip-hop, right?
Right.
And then, like I said, you got Trick Daddy and Slip and Slide Records that it was killing it too at a time when, like, you know, I think still like Cash Money was probably booming, you know. So we've always been like, Florida's always been like, we're part of the South, but we're not really the South unless you're from like the Panhandle. Just, you know, different vibes. So we've always kind of been that. Just I don't want to say isolated, because I don't want to say anybody gonna feel a way about, but. As someone from Florida, I felt isolated from the game, and that's why I connected with the New York artists and shit, and delved into that. So, I don't know if I could tell you, like, honestly, like, what if there's 1 or 2 or 3 things that, you know, the reason why, but I just know it's a really dope time for Florida artists, and I'm just really, really, really happy and excited to see them all doing their shit, man, and I hope it continues.
And what do you think is for emerging artists, what do you think is going to be the trials and tribulations that artists today, not even just from Florida, just artists today are going to have to face? You know, we got AI, we got all types of stuff. Like, how can artists these days, in your opinion, overcome, you know, these new hurdles in the game?
Man, by educating themselves on like what key components of the game outside of their artistry is going to actually help them, and like listening to the right people and understanding that it's a changing landscape, and that, you know, a lot of the people that maybe dominated in the 90s and 2000s, a lot of those people in the industry, especially like the industry side, you know, they're looking for these young artists and this young talent. They do have a crazy resume, and absolutely they deserve their respect and everything for being bricklayers of the foundation that we're built on, right, as emerging people. But it's a completely different landscape, right?
Yeah.
It's like understanding like digital marketing, and understanding too that like it's a do-it-yourself era, right? And understanding that you need a team. There's no pride in I don't have a team, I don't need one. I don't think that I think that only gets you so far. So instead of like do it yourself, it's like do it ourselves, right? That's how I look at it. But it is the do it yourself era. So like, you know, so emerging talent, I feel like we have the internet, bro. We have smartphones. Like, do research, learn, read, you know what I mean? Stay out of the bullshit, stay out of trouble. Like, understand too that the maybe couple seconds of hype you get on social media, you know, one moment, man, captured the wrong way could just end all that you have going for you.
Man, it's so
right.
So quick.
Being able to like understand that you're representing like not just a neighborhood, but like a state or a genre or a sound, whatever. Like, you're representing so much more than just you and maybe the little things around you that are only relevant to like your neighborhood or like your city.
Yeah.
Like, it's so much bigger than that, and it goes way beyond America, bro. Like, I mean, look at Europe, right? They consume hip hop like crazy. Merchandise, all that. Like, you can just expand. There's so many avenues to make money in this thing thanks to social media. But at the same time, I think, you know, everybody's got a camera. Everybody's got a voice and a platform. And it's a double-edged sword. So just being careful and like having the right people in your corner that look out for you the right way, and having the people that understand the landscape of the industry as it is today and how to succeed in it. That's crucial.
Have you worked with Destro Dub?
I wouldn't say I've worked with Desto, but like, I mean, that's my dude. Like, you know, I fuck with him. I met him. When the hell did I meet Desto for the first time? I think Miami. I think he was just out there for a pop-up, and I pulled up on him and locked in with him from there, I think. But honestly, bro, I couldn't even tell you, man. Like I said, my memory's terrible.
Man.
I want to say, yeah, I think he was out there for like a Rolling Loud pop-up or something, and I just like pulled up on him, and I mean, that was really it, man. We just locked in. No, he was out here. Shit, I'm not bad. Yeah, he was out here for a pop-up. That's right. He was out here for a pop-up at Cumberland Mall.
Oh, wow.
I think. And I just slid through, and at this time, I've been like at least talking to like Ralphie the Plug and the Sting team about like trying to get some shows in and everything. And so I just like pulled up on him and was just like, yo, what's up, man? Like, I'm here to buy some shit, and I'm here, you know, I'm talking to Ralphie and them about doing this and that. And I mean, that bro, he's like one of the dopest people I've ever met in this whole thing, man. He wants everybody to win. He's a super selfless kind of guy. And off rip, he was just like, all right, bro, here's my number. You know, like, let's take a picture together. Like, you know, all this shit that I'm not used to, even still, you know, from someone like him that I like look up to like that, that's killing it.
Yeah.
And I pulled up on him when Quavo opened the smoke shop over in man, damn, where is it? See, I'm still learning Atlanta neighborhoods.
So I don't even know where the smoke shop is.
So like, Edgewood.
Edgewood, okay.
He like shut that shit down. A marching band, you know, it's Quavo. Pulled up in a McLaren. I can't believe that McLaren survived these Atlanta roads, bro. That's wild to me. But yeah, I just like linked with him there for a little bit, and I tap in with him when I go out to LA, and you know, if he comes out here, you know, maybe we'll tap in and chop it. But yeah, I haven't like worked with him yet. That's something I'm working on. You know what I'm saying? So definitely got to work though.
This is gonna be controversial.
All right, let's go. Fuck it.
Who's your favorite Griselda member?
West Side Gun.
Oh wait. Oh, that was quick. That was quick.
That's like my biggest.
I thought it was gonna
inspiration of my like entire life, bro. Like, to be 100%, like, just say it. Yeah, I mean, West Side Gun, like, his music for sure. And it's not a knock to, like, Benny or Conway. I think all three of them at some point in time rotated for, like, my favorite rapper. You know what I mean? But throughout all of it, like, West Side Gun's always been the one to, like, extend, like a hand, you know what I mean? Or, you know, like, include me in some shit, or at least make me feel included. Like, he's one of them people. And, I mean, like, it was always, like, his shit, bro, that, like, drew, like, Fly Gods, what really, actually, Griselda Ghost by my guy Big Ghost. It's, like, what really drew me in. It was West and Con both, but West rapping on that shit. Fly God, like, Supreme Blientele, like, I love Reject 2 by Con. I love Tana Talk 3 by Butch. Like, I love those albums so much, and, you know, but for Gun, it's just, and then with Gun too, like, I love fashion, I love clothing, I love that shit, and Gun, oh, that's Gun shit, right?
Yeah.
So I always paid attention more to that, and plus, like, I grew up watching wrestling as a kid. I wouldn't say I'm like a hardcore wrestling fan, but, you know, Gun being at the wrestling events and shit, like, all that kind of stuff, bro. Like, it just kind of all ties up. So yeah, man, like, without a doubt, bro, West Side Gun. Yeah.
What's your favorite moment that you got with West Side? Like, whether it's working or just, you know, anything.
That's a good question. Probably just, like, honestly, man, like, being able to, like, pull up to his crib and, like, toast him Happy New Year, bro. Like, that was just, like, a super crazy full circle moment for me. And the fact that he's even, like, having me over there like that is just, it meant the world to me, you know what I mean, to be welcomed. And he gave me a little tour of the house. I got to see some cool shit that maybe, you know, like, I got to see all the shit that I saw him posting with as a fan in real time. Like, it's a picture of him with, like, a Supreme catcher mask that he posted in, like, 2018. It's like him and Khan, and, like, he's got the Supreme, like, catcher mask, right? And, like, I'm just, like, walk into a room and there it is, and I'm like, holy shit, like, you know what I mean? Like, for me as a fan, bro, that was ill. And, like, a lot of my friends are artists, and they've been doing this art with him, or, you know, whether for him or they're pulling up at a show gifting him this art, and the dude has it on his walls. Dang. So it's cool for me to see that too and be like, damn, you know, like, that's it's a testament to him as a person, but also, like, that's super fire for my homies that made the artwork, right? Like, that's crazy. I think a lot of artists I've done tours, you know what I mean? So, like, I've seen artists get artwork or gifts after a show, and I'm not saying they all do this, but sometimes, like, man, they end up just leaving it, and it never, you know, they forget it, you know, whether it's in the car or whatever. And so for him to, like, go home, like, move somewhere and, like, hang it up and shit and, like, give it a display is crazy to me. So it was, like, really cool, man. It was just cool to be able to experience that. Like I said, it's, like, a full circle moment for me. So that's probably my favorite memory. But next to that would probably be just shit, man, like, showing around Miami for the first time, because that was just fucking the craziest shit in the world to me at that time. You know what I mean?
Yo, how do you maintain these relationships with these type of artists? Like, West Side Gun is, like,
yeah, I mean,
he's up there. I won't even say, like, close, like, he's broken through.
Yeah, he's super, in my opinion, super legend.
J.
Like,
Cole level, like.
Yeah, I mean, he's out there in, like, the UK with Pharrell. Well, like, I'll be real, like, it's not like me and West Side Gun are, like, hanging out all the time, talking all the time, or any of that. I just have relationships with everybody around him, and I'm around all the time. So, like, if he does something in Miami, you know, like, I think the last time, I didn't really even see him until after he's performing. I'm, like, kind of on stage, like, I'm walking off, and he yelled at me, "Oh, Matt," and, like, dapped me up and looked happy to see me, you know what I mean? And that blew me away a little bit. So, I don't know. I think it's just being around, bro. And I think, you know, that I'm just genuine about it, because you feel me? Like, once again, like, the shit means something to me. So I think that's how I maintain any relationship. You know, not every relationship I've had from day one is, unfortunately, you know, worked out in a good way. As people fall out, disagreements, whatever. And it's unfortunate, but I think the ones that I have maintained are the ones that are in good standing. Like, personally, I just think that I'm just real. I was genuine, and I supported money out my pocket, you know, type shit. And I at least try to understand what their world is, you know, put myself in there and apply it to my own. And I think that's, like, the key to maintaining good relationships, bro, is just being a genuine person and not having, like, a hidden agenda, or, like, You know, not trying to get with somebody because maybe they're popping and you want to just, like, you know what I mean? Like,
the BS.
You definitely got to pay attention to who's popping and shit, especially as an A&R for strategic reasons, you know what I mean, to try to work. But at the end of the day, if it's not, like, a genuine collaboration, like, you can tell. You know, you can tell when it's a microwavable collaboration and when it's, like, they're in the studio working and they fuck with each other. So I feel like on my end, for what I do and where I come from, just having that kind of energy, you know. So hopefully that's what they see, and hopefully, you know, that continues.
Do you feel like you face backlash working in this industry? Like,
oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Can you talk about some of those hardships that you've had to just, like, mentally just keep going through to keep working?
I mean, bro, like, I think anybody that's, like, really, really done this shit and, like, really just, like, I mean, I sacrificed, like, everything to be in Atlanta, right? Like, from, like, relationship with my kid's mom to, you know, she hates this shit. Like, me doing it, I mean. Like, I mean, man, like, you know, you're always gonna have either people that see you one way, like, as a, you know, me as a fan, maybe. Oh, yeah, this kid was, you know, fucking standing in line at a meet and greet, and now he's, like, trying to do this and that. Like, maybe that's it. Or you're gonna just have people that, you know, I think there's a lot of, like, insecurity in this industry, but at the same time, like, I get it, because I think everybody that's taking themselves seriously and at least, like, is really against all odds kind of mentality towards it, I think everybody has sacrificed and lost so much, man. Like, this shit's, like, not promised. Like, every day is not promised, not just with life, but with this industry, bro. Like, you know, somebody bigger could come along, and now your artist goes with them, and now you don't have an artist to work with, or, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
there's a lot of fickle relationships, and not necessarily because people are fickle, but because, like, these situations are just, like, bro, it's high stakes. In a lot of ways, like, until you're, like, really secure in this shit, you know, if you're on the come up, bro, you're basically living check to check, or you're always, at least for me, you're always looking at that next level. So, like, when I achieve something, I don't have time to celebrate, and, like, and, you know, not to say I don't enjoy it, but I definitely don't have time to celebrate, bro, because it's like there's 50 million other things I gotta do, bro. Like, there's a whole nother level I gotta reach, and then you gotta pay dues over again, pretty much every level.
I was going back and forth. You said somebody was getting on you about Eminem or something.
Yeah,
because they was asking you white rappers because you're white,
something like that. Yeah, I don't want to, like, air it out or nothing, because I don't even know if that interview, like, has been put out yet or anything. I gotta ask about that. I don't know. I need to rewatch it. But yeah, it was, like, a really weird kind of Eminem question. And, you know, I don't like doing interviews or really being in, like, everybody that works with me knows I stay behind the camera, behind the scene. That's my habitat. That's where I like to be.
Yeah.
So for me, like, it was, like, one of my first more, like, real interviews, you know what I mean? Like, serious ones where, you know, there's, like, cameras and shit, like a backdrop and lighting. Mike will, you know, and yeah, it was some weird question about Eminem, bro, and it was just, like, really, like my friend, she was with me, and she was, like, agitated. They asked it.
So do you? This is controversial, but do you
cool,
feel
bro,
like
I'm with this shit.
Do you feel like you get do you feel like you get stereotyped by being a white man working in hip hop? Like, not even if you like just behind the scenes. Like, do you feel like you get stereotyped by artists when you're trying to work with them? Because they see you and they just judge you. Do you feel like you deal with a lot of judgment because you're white in hip hop?
That's a good question. I'm gonna just speak from the heart on this one. Overall, no. I really, truly, overall, don't feel that way. I definitely have had moments where I definitely felt that way. Yeah. In certain situations. But I overall, like, truthfully, I don't feel it, like, I'd say, like, 90%. I don't feel it like that, at least. I feel it more of, like, me being a fan from certain, like aspects with certain, like, camps or whatever, maybe that, but at least not I don't, bro, not overall, man. But there's certain, like, that Eminem question, like, I was like, fuck, man, like, all right, like, if I wasn't white, you would not be asking me some like annoying question like that. It puts me kind of in a weird situation, like, you know, politically, whatever, to say, you know, say some shit. But Not overall, man. I mean, I'm sure it happens, but you know, what can you do, bro? Like, all I can be is myself, and you know, I also try to move correctly as a white person in this shit, and like, you know, show respect where it's due, and you know, do my knowledge, like, you know, make sure I'm paying respect to the traditions, and that I have like that core understanding of like what hip hop was founded on, where it comes from, and what it was built on, and where it's going. And I do this shit for hip hop, bro, at the end of the day. And hip hop's so big globally. Like KRS-One, I know he tells stories in his lectures about, I mean, hip hop brings like, you know, like a Israeli and man, like the Gaza Strip, man. I should know my Middle Eastern history, bro, but they bring, you know, two conflicting nations together through the music. Like there's a DJ from Israel and a DJ from I want to say Syria. And you know what I'm saying? So it's so powerful and so big, and it's at the point where, like, you know, I mean, everybody globally in one way or another, you know, every ethnicity takes part in it. So
bro,
I just try to pay my respects like the best way I can, and move with it. And if people don't like me because of something I can't change, bro, then it's not meant for me, and it's all good, bro. Just keep it moving.
I saw a video of these Indians like in India, and a rap battle in India.
That's fire though.
And they was rapping, you know, in their language, and I was like, wow, like they're really going. I have no idea what they're saying.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's like, dang, hip hop has really influenced the world. Like
Hell
they in India
bro.
having a rap battle. Everybody's like, oh, and I'm like, yo, what the heck did they just say? But it sounded fire.
Bro. Like there's a like I'm a big Sopranos nerd, and like there's a scene like Carmela, you know, and Rosalie go out to France, and like one of the first scenes, like in a taxi, and they're playing like some of like the hardest shit I've ever heard, and it's like French rap, and I'm just like, yo, this shit's fire.
Wow.
And so yeah, bro, like it's all over.
So I want to go because this is we've been on here for a minute. It's getting hot in here.
It's definitely.
This is why I saved it for last. One of my interns, they had a question in there that he kind of hinted at what I was going to. I'm looking at you over there. I think it was you, but I want to talk about when I first met you. When I first met you, it was, we saw, you know, I've been working up here. Yeah. Obviously. I saw Benny the Butcher's name on the session report that goes out. So we got this thing on our calendar. We see what goes on in the studio every week. I'm not going to get into the details, but we all know what's going on. Yeah. So I saw Benny the Butcher's name on the schedule. And I was like, yo, Benny the freaking Butcher. So I think the way we connected too is because we're both big fans of the Griselda movement. I found them back in maybe 2015.
Okay, hell yeah. You've been around.
It was West Side, I saw I'm a very casual fan. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm a casual fan of hip hop. So I won't necessarily buy a lot of merchandise. I just started doing that, but I would love a song, become a super fan, and I might only know like 2 or 3 songs. So I like music videos, visual. So I'm a fan of like artists by their music videos and visuals, and I'm like, yo, that's my favorite artist. I might not have ever bought an album. So I was very hip to like what they was doing. Yeah. And I actually got to meet them here in Patchwork, West Side, and Conway with Razkaz. I did an interview. Razkaz interviewed them. And they was here for a show, and I don't know what, but it was in 2016.
Damn. Okay.
And I got to meet them. Still. Yeah, and I was so fanned out, I didn't even really talk to them like that. Like I just say, yo, what's up? That was one of the first times I was like, dang, like these people really here, like they doing this. Like, I was new to the studio, so I was still getting new to everything. Yeah. And Benny wasn't there, so I didn't meet him. I actually wasn't hip to Benny until later. I had just known West Side, and then that was the first time I got hip to Conway, was when he was there, and I was like, who is that? And I was like, oh shoot, I got hip to his stuff. So I was hip to West Side first. Yeah. But over time became a fan. I'm a big fan of Griselda. So when I saw Benny the Butcher's name on the schedule, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing today. But I'm going to that session.
Hell yeah, I'm glad you pulled up.
I'm just gonna be there and just try to see if I could take pictures. Like that was my whole thing. Like I love capturing history, so I just wanted to take pictures because I like taking pictures of people that, you know, I'm a fan of. They doing stuff and be like just memorializing that moment. So I was there early. My boy Ronnie, he was the engineer for this session.
That's my man, bro.
So I knew like, okay, I'm gonna come in there. Ronnie's in there. It's gonna be chill. And you was there. You was the first person there. You was early.
Yeah, that's
and I was like, yo, who is this guy? I wonder if he's part of the camp. I'm gonna go talk to him. That's all my thought was. Like, I like just talking to people. So I was like, yo, what's up? And he was like, oh, I'm Matt, and I'm the A&R put the session together. I was like, this is the guy I gotta talk to. And I was like, yo, you cool if I take pictures in here? And that's how we all started. It was like,
yeah, man.
The moment I met you though, you was so chill. You was like, yeah, no problem, do your thing.
Yeah.
And it was like, there's no thought about it, just like, yeah, sure. And like that energy right there, that's how I know you, and that's how you been.
Man, thank you.
And I gotta thank you because from that inspired what we did later, which I think is one of the coolest things.
Bro, one of my, I'll let you tell it, man. I'll let you tell it, bro.
The Benny the Butcher is Zaytoven session. I gotta add ATL Jacob to it basically too, because he popped in there.
He did pop in.
And it just felt like
that was fire,
bro. And that all happened because we just connected that night at the Benny the Butcher and Pyrex session, and you know, we got Instagram. We stayed connected and just networking. And at first I was like, yo, this guy's like super cool. I wonder like you know, in the music industry, you be burned a few times. You start thinking like, you know, some negative things. But with you, I was like, yo, I think this is a guy that I can genuinely trust. Like, I feel like really good about this guy. Yeah.
I'm glad, bro. And likewise, by the way.
Yeah, because the idea came because I was like,
friend,
I was like, yo, I got a good vibe on this guy. Like, I'm going to trust my gut. My gut was saying like, yo, I should reach out to him and be like, yo, I think we could do something dope.
Yeah. And I got to give you props, bro. Like, you're the reason Zaytoven, that play happened. You know what I mean? Like, if I brought Benny's side in, like, you're the reason Zaytoven pulled up.
Yeah.
So
I got shout out, you know, Tamika Hope. She's a PR for Zaytoven, a bunch of other artists too. She's a legend, super legend. And I had that contacted her, and she was the one to put the word in the Zay to bring him in.
Hell yeah. Well,
so yeah, she's the reason that actually really happened. But that night was epic. That night was epic. That was a real fan dream come true,
man,
to see that.
Yeah, bro. As a kid that was partying, growing up to So Icy and Gucci's, you know, whole rise, like, and I mean Zaytoven's rise too. I guess you could, you know, really, at least like for me being from outside of Atlanta, right? Like Zay, like, bro, like that's like one of my top 5 all time since I was a kid favorite, you know, producers, right? So to be able to be in a room with him and work and like be on his laptop and like pick beats with another one of my all time in my life favorite artists with Benny, it was super dope, man. I really appreciate like my guy Ock, like Ock's Benny's head of A&R, and you know, I've known him since the Griselda days, and you know, if it wasn't for him getting in Benny's ear and being like, Butch, you gotta do this, whatever, you know, whatever he said, like, you know, like, I know Butch was excited, so I don't think it was hard to convince him, but like, you know, bro, like that shit was awesome, and I hope like some really dope music comes out of that. I know Benny's gonna kill whatever, you know what, bro, we heard so many fire beats that night, bro.
We
heard
so
many fire beats
whole
that
freaking
night.
album,
like, it was like 14 hours of that shit on the laptop, bro. So
that was the first time I felt like dang, maybe I could be an A&R.
I mean, yeah, though, like you did. I mean, you were one.
Yeah, I don't think I could do it though. Like that was stressful. I'll say like it let me know how stressful it is, because
on a day to day, it can be
because people's time, like these people are, you know, superstars out here. Like,
yeah, man.
You don't want to say like this is gonna happen, then it don't. And, you know, it just takes that one little moment that it doesn't happen, and your credibility shot.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, oh man, I hope this really happens, because I don't ask for nothing.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
And this is gonna be the one time I ask for something and don't work out. I was praying, and
it did though.
It came together. Like that night was awesome. Like I feel like as a fan of Griselda, a fan of Benny, like that really fulfilled a lot for me, you know. And I gotta thank you for real, bro. We thank each other a lot. We thanked each other offline plenty of times, but I gotta give you your flowers too, because even though you be saying like you coming up and stuff, like you've already done more than many people that have tried to do this and quit. You know what I'm saying? You haven't quit. You had all the reasons to quit. You got a daughter out here. You got a real family. Like, you haven't quit. So, you know what I'm saying?
Thank you, bro.
I commend you, man.
Thank you, bro. Like, the thing with the not quitting, that really just, like, that's me being a Nipsey Hussle fan, and, you know, like, that shit's the truest shit I've ever heard to this day. It's just like perseverance. Like, any entrepreneurial pursuit, but especially in music, I just feel like if you just don't quit in this shit, like, bro, you're gonna get somewhere. You know what I mean? You're gonna get somewhere, and then your talent doing whatever you do is gonna get you take that somewhere to some, big thing or not, but you're gonna get somewhere if you don't quit, man. And that's like the key to this whole shit. So thank you, man. That means a lot, bro.
Yeah.
Not every day I get to get to hear shit like that. So I appreciate that for real.
Nah, and then we still talking and playing things out, but even though I know that we gonna do some really dope stuff in the future,
more to come.
I feel like from like how you said like being with Griselda watching Wu-Tang was a special stellar moment. That's a stellar memory for me. Like that's a key memory for me. That's too. Like Benny the Butcher, Zaytoven, Matt set it up. And, we had the studio packed. Like, the whole room was packed in
Everybody was in there, bro.
Then when
it was dope, bro. And Jacob came in. Yeah, my man IG came in.
IG was over there, like...
Yeah, bro. And all that stuff also led to, like, what I'm real excited about now, which, like, I'm A&R with Wicked Money Family, helping IG with a lot of shit. And so...
How did that come together?
It came together because of those sessions to keep it 100. So, I just really, really want to shout out IG. Like, I cannot say how much I appreciate. I think one of the most powerful things in this world is, your belief in someone, right? Like, when you find someone you believe in and you let them know you believe in them, if that person at least has any sort of passion in them, that just, like, sets a fire, right? So... I just really appreciate IG for believing in me and what I can do, and hopefully those sessions are a testament to like how high I can take things, and I know I can take things higher, to be real. There's things that have fallen apart that so I know I can take things higher, and I believe in this roster of artists, and I fuck with them all as people and as artists. I've seen the work ethic. I've been in other sessions, and so for him to like trust me with his vision.
Yeah.
I'm a team player. I'm a military guy, so I like moving as a unit, and that was one of my biggest things since I moved here, was like trying to find like my team all over again, right? Because of other things that have fallen apart. So like, I just love the opportunity, and those I think were the moments that like, definitely made an impression on him to reach out and invite me on the team, on the A&R side, and I guess management side in a way. So big shout out to my brother IG, and just watch, bro. Wicked Money Family's gonna go crazy, bro.
Yeah,
we're gonna go crazy, bro. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
But yeah, this was dope, man. This was dope.
It was, man. Come on. And I hate being in front of the camera, and I love doing this, bro. I had a lot of fun, man. So. You're my dude, bro. Appreciate it.
Shoot, hey, I give my thanks to you, man. Today we unlocked some key memories. You know what I'm saying? Of Matty-O.
Yes, sir.
The young legend in the making.
Hopefully.
And shoot, we gotta do a Benny and Zay part 2.
Bro, we need to. We need to.
We gotta do.
That's
some,
actually
we gotta
that's
do
a
some
fact.
more. Yeah,
it's a fact. We're gonna get crazy, bro. Let's go crazy, bro. You already know. We're gonna do some crazy shit.
And that's it, y'all. Thank you.